or good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. Just a couple of housekeeping things before we get going. The session will be recorded, as you may have just heard, and then we're going to send that afterwards. But also, if you have any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll get to them after the session today. So for today, the webinar is titled "Secrets to a Great Intranet: 7 Banks and Credit Unions That Got It Right." And your presenters today will be myself, Colton Thielman, and Corin Kirkland. And we are on the sales team. So we have between the two of us, over 10 years of pre-sales experience. And our approach is very much more on the consulting side of how we do things. So we really try to understand the needs and analyze the pains for our clients. So that's really our approach here. And essentially, we work with a lot of banks and credit unions. And Thought Farmer's been around for about 18 years. And what we found, we do work across a wide variety of industries. And really what we found is a lot of banks and credit unions use our software. So what we've been doing is actually having a lot of roundtable discussions, a lot of interviews with those clients, and able to come up with some really key stories to develop a really good webinar today. So what we're going to talk about today is the role of intranets and banks for credit unions. We're going to talk about some of the key use cases and success stories. And then we're going to look at some of the top features, but also what to look for in an intranet solution. So afterwards, if any questions come up, sit back and relax, and we'll answer those at the end of the session today. All right. So first things first, what is the role of intranet software for financial institutions? So more importantly, specifically, why are intranets essential for banks and credit unions? So one of the common things we see with banks and credit unions is they're very policy-driven organizations. So the common pain that we see is the workforce is very complex. It's very fast-moving. There's a lot of events happening. There's a lot of promotions happening. A lot of staff changes going on. So really, it's really important to really centralize that information into one central source of truth. So intranets are really good at promoting knowledge sharing, communication, and compliance. The other main point here too is creating a better connected and a better informed employee workforce. So banks and credit unions traditionally have always had a very geographically dispersed workforce. And what tends to happen is knowledge, information, ideas, and people are naturally disconnected and then also naturally siloed in the workforce. So the intranet is really good at becoming that front door into organization where connections happen, right? Connections across the hall, connections across the branch, across town, also across the state. So what we find the result and sort of the downstream effect of that is when employees are aligned, they're connected, they're more productive, and they also feel that sense of belonging to each other, and knowing that the role actually contributes to the overall mission and goal of the company. So it has a direct bottom line impact on member service, client service, and products. So that's the overarching goal that we see all the time. And breaking it down even a little bit more and getting more granular into it, we start to look at the use cases of the intranet and what they're actually used for. So firstly is that single source of truth, right? We talked about how typically if you don't have an intranet, communications are all over the place. There's a lot of digital noise. Stuff isn't relevant. A lot of strategic messages tend to get missed. So intranets are really good at centralizing those updates to ensure consistency and accuracy. Compliance management, right? So easily sharing, tracking, and managing regulatory information. Right. So think about your policies, think about HR documents, things that require that compliance. So intranets have a lot of really great tools like required reading and a suite of policy tools that make that really seamless for tracking compliance. Connecting branches, connecting employees, right? So intranets are great at fostering unity and seamless information sharing across those locations, because like we said before, that kind of stuff tends to get locked up, collaboration, locked up in emails and people's desks and in certain branches as well. Elevating service, right? This is a really big one. And quick access to essential information is really, really essential, especially for client-facing employees. That's really important. So a lot of times you got a member right in front of you and you need information fast. So information at your fingertips becomes really important there. Business continuity, supporting those operational and stability in crisis communication. Something goes wrong, clients use a lot of our communication tools to actually ensure everyone's not only safe but also informed on what's happening within globally or within locally in their branch as well. And then M&A support. So a lot of clients we work with actually undergo acquisitions and mergers. So many situations where that happens. And with that, they each have their own, you bring their own unique culture, they're bringing their own unique set of tools. So intranets is really good at kind of fostering and bridging that gap there and making sure information is very accessible.
Alrighty. So we're going to share some success stories from our customers, banks and credit unions. So first up, we have Duca. So Duca have about 450 employees based in Ontario, and they were using SharePoint, which I'm sure many people here have either used before or are currently using. SharePoint is a pretty common tool that we see within banks and credit unions, and we hear the same challenges from customers who are using it. Typically, it's hard to use. It's often requiring work to funnel through the one person or one team. Sometimes a specialist is actually hired to manage the SharePoint. So with that, we kind of find that content spirals out of control. It's out of date. Employees aren't able to find and use the information that they need. And these were the exact reasons why Duca moved over to Thought Farmer. And since moving to Thought Farmer, all employees are now actually able to add and create their own content with our user-friendly interface and find content through different search and link capabilities. So the employees are definitely able to find the right information and quickly serve their members. Next up, we have Coast Central Credit Union. They have 300 employees located across 11 locations in California. For a long time, they relied on quite an outdated intranet to distribute news across the different teams and different locations. But they did find that when the company grew, the intranet was kind of limiting their reach with their employees. So since moving to Thought Farmer, they've done a lot of fun things. They share regular updates from the CEO. They use comments and social features a lot to celebrate employees, even if they're not in the same location. And a personal favorite is the Coast Central Perk, which is a place for employees to chat, sell items, take polls. This is definitely helping the employees feel connected across the branches. Coast Central shared a lot of different theming screenshots with us. They have Disney themed, Star Wars, different seasons as well. And they've been able to do this by themselves without the help of Thought Farmer, which is really impressive to see. Particularly the one on the left-hand side here, kind of showing the different branches and connection and using the image. I was pretty impressed when I saw that. So yeah, a great example of using theming here.
Yeah, the one on the right, that's not a screen mistake either. We have what's called a falling fun card. So you can create emojis and icons. People use it for snowflakes and Christmas. It starts falling to the. So I don't know what they're doing here, but it looks like some kind of leaf for some kind of maybe fall or something like that.
Yeah, the Disney leaves. All right, third example is JD Bank. So they are a Louisiana-based financial institution, and they replace an old platform with Thought Farmer. They've found that it's helped reduce the amount of time and stress for employees finding information. So everything that their employees need can be found on the intranet. And for JD Bank, it isn't just a place for content, it's also a place where employees are often sharing photos and news posts that showcase their strong culture. Adoption rates are really important when implementing an intranet, something that we work a lot on here at Thought Farmer. And JD Bank paid a lot of attention to the adoption at launch and then over time. And so far in 2024, they found that over 95% of employees are accessing the internet on a weekly basis and are often averaging around 5 actions. That's kind of page views, downloads, using links and searches per visit. So really engaged there. Okay, number 4, First Bank. This is 3,000 employees located in Colorado. Diversity, equity, inclusion is challenging and requires a clear strategy, but First Bank do a really good job of this. They've set a really inspiring example of their commitment to DEI. They've created sections where their committees can stay up to date with each other, they can share progress, ideas, and provide feedback. And First Bank shared with us that it's really important to be able to listen to what their employees are saying. So they use the internet to help provide feedback and build a strong DEI program. They also use some of the built-in features that we have, so like name pronunciation and pronoun fields, to create an inclusive workspace that I think we could all learn something from.
Yeah, a lot of like First Bank, a lot of we find banks and credit unions come from something that's very traditional and very top down, and there's no two-way feedback. There's no bottom-up feedback. So this is just a great example of that.
Alrighty, Bonvenue Bank. These were previously known as Citizens National Bank, but they've used the internet to help promote their new brand. So they share and update the new brand guidelines and then just ensure that employees are using the correct designs and the correct branding. The theme was also updated to reflect their external facing brand. The internet is also heavily used for employee recognitions. They're using features like birthdays, anniversaries, links to important pages. They also have a swag store where employees can have earn points and then they're now starting to like an update their swag with the new branded swag. So it's a really nice program that they've got running at Bonvenue. Alrighty, connecting Manitoba. So change management is pretty common, as we spoke about earlier, with mergers and acquisitions. And yeah, as Colton said, each party kind of comes with their own culture and way of doing things. So having an intranet that reflects all parties is going to help with that impact of change. Connecting Manitoba, they launched the intranet as kind of the go-to hub when they were going through a merger with several credit unions across the province. It really served as like the single source of truth to share information, any upcoming activities and events. And they've used these kind of vibrant, engaging colours to reflect the values of the merging credit unions. The team at Connecting Manitoba worked very closely with our professional services team to build a custom badges for their employees. So you can see this on the right-hand side. This helps recognize things like years of service, employee awards and milestones. And we met Paige, who's their internet admin, at a conference recently, and she said that the employees are obsessed with their badges. So it's really nice to see that these are a hit with the employees there. Okay, so this is the last example for today. So we've seen lots of great themes so far. Some of them kind of go for more of a corporate approach, whilst others get pretty creative with their mascots. And Cambrian Credit Union, they actually won a design award at our 2024 Best Internet Awards. So Cambrian's intranet is named Milo, which stands for Mountains of Information Logically Organized. And they use a lot of thoughtful design elements to kind of help with the engagement. The little mascot is kind of placed around the site. He has different themes, different outfits to kind of keep the employees engaged. And it's really just like a nice reflection of the strong culture that they have at Cambrian.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great to see different examples of how other credit unions or banks are doing things, even if you're using something currently or looking for something out there. It's always good to see, kind of get the ideas flowing. Okay, so now we're going to move into, I was going to say the fun part, but it's been fun already, the top features for financial institutions. So we've pulled out 5 top features here that we see with other banks and credit unions. For this, what we're going to do is not just talk about them, we're actually going to show you a tour of a Thought Farmer templated demo. So, and walk you through what that looks like within our product here. So let's go over here. So the first one we're going to talk about is personalized home pages. So the last thing you want is for a busy employee to land on a home page filled with a lot of unnecessary information, overwhelming details. So with ThoughtForm, it's very clear, it's very personal, and it's designed to offer a very curated experience with personalized content that reflects each user based on their role, their branch, and the content they follow. So yeah, the goal here really helps employees find what they need without all the distractions. So as we go through this site, you'll notice it's very personalized content served up to that individual user. For instance, required reading, right? This is my personal required reading. I need to come in here. I need to confirm I've read this policy. Going back to the home page, articles like My News, right? So there's a lot of news happening globally, but then there's also localized news based on the branch you follow, the department you're in, even the more of the fun social groups that you're part of. You'll see that all right here in that personalized, tailored news feed. And then even items like calendar events and updates. So yes, there's global calendars, but there's also localized calendars to the branch you might be a part of. So if your branch is hosting a holiday food and toy drive, you can say, okay, great, I'm going to add this to my calendar, or I'm going to say, yes, I'm going. And you can get that right onto your calendar, make sure everybody's informed. And that's really the goal here, right? So these home pages are really designed to keep people informed, help people share knowledge, and make sure people feel connected as well, both connected to each other, but also connected to the company. Sometimes what we see is credit unions will actually take a more personalized approach to these home pages, and what they'll do is they'll actually create a separate homepage just for that specific role and what they're trying to do. So sometimes what we see is organizations setting up a specific member services homepage. So if you're a member service employee, you're serving your clients, you come here and this is the experience that you see, right? So it's very tailored to that. Everything is right here. You have teller quick links, compliance training, any active promotions going on so that you want to make sure your tellers are aware of. They're informed on that. These quick links are really great because it's specific information based on what they need, right? It's right in front, really straightforward. It's not overwhelming. FAQs, how can I order new checking account, things like that, or even checks. Rates and fees, maybe have that documentation right within PDFs. Really the goal here is everything is accessible right at your fingertips. The next one is about centralizing your knowledge and your policy hub. So that's a really, really key one here. It is one of the challenges we hear all the time is employees cannot find what they're looking for. And that's typically one or two reasons. One is they're using a really old, outdated intranet. It's disorganized. There's really poor search. You got 100 different copies of the same thing. And the other reason is you could not have an intranet. So a lot of content is locked up in personal computers and shared drives and emails. Either way, the effect of that is people are emailing your teams like, hey, where's this? Where's that? You got to sit and wait for it, and then you finally get it, and then you can access the information. So it turns into an information ask culture. And the goal here is to create more of an information pull culture of self-service. So that's what the intranet serves up. So look out for intranets that have a really strong policy management tools and really make it easy for your employees to find the right information quickly. That's essentially what it comes down to. One thing we always say is the intranet it's not an attic, it's a kitchen, right? Attic is somewhere where you go store your Christmas tree once a year. The kitchen is where you daily get your content and you go to the intranet on a day-to-day basis. So what tends to happen is a lot of people store their content in they kind of frame it through different use cases, right? So they think about the mental model of how employees think about where their content is and what they're doing. So it's very common to have content areas broken down to say member services. So this is content designated for this particular category, this particular solution. So they can come in here, they can see their glossary, for instance, and different content based on that. We often see content categorized by groups, right? So departments, branches is very popular. Here's all the branches. It also allows for your branches to create a space for them to collaborate in their own teams and have their own camaraderie that way. So here's an example, Uptown branch, here's the members, you get some basic information that you need, but also pulls in things like, your calendar events and more of the activity streams and things like that. Departmentally, there's content that's very specific to each department. So take marketing, for instance, it's a dedicated space for them. Again, these groups, by the way, you can actually lock these down or you can open them up. It's really up to you, but it's a place for them to have their calendars, their news, marketing collateral, all of that is really neatly housed and organized right within here. And then what we start to see is content kind of within groups, but then we see content that is applicable to everybody, right? Everybody needs to be aware of this, to be aware of what's happening and to be on the same page as far as this type of content. So as you notice, the intranet at Thought Farmer at least is really good at kind of bringing together a collection of different content types like no other tool. A lot of people say, the intranet is just another tool in our tech stack. It's actually not. It's that front door for your organization that ties everything in. It's a central source of truth, but it is really good at bringing together all that information. So, take a page like this, for example, photo gallery. Here's all our photo galleries. Here's one particular event gallery, maybe a community event, something like that. Here's all our values. It's written on content pages, links, discussion forums, all of that can be housed right within here. Content pages is a really popular way to present your content. At the end of the day, people want to consume information really easily, and we find content pages like this is a really nice way to present that information. So again, think about SOPs, policies, but you can also have. We also understand a lot of organizations have really nice, PDF documentation as well, and you can absolutely store that type of documentation and those assets on your intranet as well. So, sticking with the theme on policies and procedures, because I know it's a big one. There's also, now we have all this content here. We want to make it easy to find, and so that's really important. It goes beyond a really intuitive information architecture, which is your top level navigation, how you house your content, but also a powerful search is really important. So we make it really easy for people to find what they're looking for. It's a very personalized, tailored approach. So you can search just within this section here, or maybe you want to search intranet wide. And you want to find your forms, you just type in forms, and then it comes up here. Again, it's personalized based on the content you're a part of. So it's serving up as a whole scoring algorithm that's happening here. It's serving up content based on based on that user search experience. So search is important. And then also beyond search, managing content and sharing content and creating content is also important as well. So a couple key things we're not going to get into, but if you want to, we can do something more advanced down the road, a deeper dive. We have a lot of advanced content management tools, fine-tuned security permissions. One of the easy things about a product like about Thought Farmer is for content creation, you just go to the page you want to create that content, the section, and you just add it. If you have the permissions to do so, you add that content right there, and you can add that in real time. There's a whole collaboration process behind it too. But we also make it easy for your managers to ensure content is accurate and up to date. So there's some really nice tools to look out for. Let's take this HR benefits example. So let's say, for instance, you want to come in here and you want to create a content review. And it's really neat because you can say, okay, Kelly or, Christy, you can say every 6 months, every year, you actually need to go in and you need to make sure this content is up to date. So there's a whole notification system happening in the background. Really nice content review dashboard that's personal to those content reviewers that you've set up, depending on the section. And they can come in here and they can check off and make sure that's up to date. So the outcome is an intranet experience that people actually trust the content on the internet. So they're not constantly asking people, hey, is this the most up-to-date version? Okay. So we talked about personalized homepage, centralized knowledge hub, now digital forms and workflow automation. So I'll keep this one pretty brief here, but what we see all the time in any business, there's always information that needs to be collected, information that needs to be reviewed and processed. So some of you might be managing these workflows and processes through email or even paper-based forms, which involves a lot of different steps. A lot of it can kind of fall through the cracks, right? So one of the most popular features that our banking and credit unions clients use is our feature called form flow. So what it is, you can actually customize these forms. We have a really intuitive form builder. It's all drag and drop, really straightforward, really easy to build, really easy to launch and manage, these types of forms. So some are, small, brief, one questions. Some are more robust. So it's really up to you on how big or small you want to go with these types of forms. And all the workflows, all the approvals is all built right within here. The other one was industry-specific features. So some of the conversations we've been having of these table discussions, we've been seeing our clients' intranets, and we've noticed some really neat things that they're doing with it. And some of the ones you've seen already here. One is fraud alerts. So front and center, right on our homepage, you can get a good sense of if any that sort of there's any themes, the fraud alerts that's maybe new. You can kind of get that status up in front and center on your homepage. ATM status machine updates, you can have that indicator on there as well. So people aren't constantly, IT isn't constantly sending email updates and things like that. And then last one that I'll go through, we have a bunch, but last one I'll talk about on this demo is financial calculators, right? So these are a very common asset to have within your organization for certain members. So these financial calculators are really nice. You can input your data, whether it's loan amortization, mortgage. It's got scheduled payments, things like that. So really, really robust financial calendars that you can bring right into the experience. Again, the intranet within your organization, there's lots of tools, lots of apps, lots of communications going all over the place. What can we do to centralize things and make it easy for our employees to find what they're looking for and do their job? So we find that's one of the big keys to adoption is anchor, make your job easier make your employees' job easier, but also make it a really engaging space as well. And people are really at the heart of your workplace and really at the heart of your intranet as well. So that's a really important functionality as well, is really comprehensive employee directory and a corporate directory to find SMEs. So yeah, ThoughtFarmer, it comes equipped with very visually appealing, very beautiful image-rich profiles, and it has all the data that you would need to find who you're looking for. So I'll just do a quick demo here. So say, for instance, you're trying to find somebody who is experienced with loans, right? So you type in loans, it's actually narrowed it down to these 3 people. And then you can further drill down, and maybe you're looking for somebody in a certain branch, and you can drill down with the left-hand navigation here to find these 2 people. What you also notice too is it not only makes finding people easy, but also makes bridging those connections really easy as well. So you can connect with others with some really, really fun conversation starters here, like hobbies and interest cards. You can see some shared interests there, activity streams, things like that as well. You can even view people right in your work chart. This is especially great if you're a new employee and you want to understand like who sits where and like what do people do. So it's really nice to kind of navigate with this org chart here for that. So those are some top features to look out for.
Alrighty, so I'll take it from here. So I think some of you are already ThoughtFarmer customers looking for inspiration, which is great. But I know some of you are here because you're looking for a new intranet. We understand that there's a lot of vendors to choose from. So I just want to share kind of 3 top tips that will help you find the right vendor. The first is industry experience, so kind of ongoing support and the commitment to client success. And the best way to learn about this is through customer references, case studies, and software review sites. Finding an intranet that specializes within your industry is definitely going to help your experience, and it just shows that they have like a trusted experience with, say, for example, banks and credit unions. The second one is easy to use. A lots of banks and credit unions come to us because the products that they're currently using are hard to use design, as well as like manage permissions and access to content. The internet should really be built and contributed by everyone in the organization, no matter what their technical skill level is. So demos are really key to understand how easy a tool to use, but trial sites are even better because you can really kind of get your hand on a product. You could perhaps line up some specific use cases and test these with each of the product. And then the third one is specific features to support your objectives. So each organization is going to have specific objectives and features that are required to help you achieve them. So we typically suggest building a checklist for your feature requirements and identify which ones are nice to have and which ones are must-haves and kind of which ones carry more weight. So is it like that we need easy to build forms, we want bank-specific features, and we want policy management tools, they're the top three. And then they're going to carry the most weight. And then we might have some secondary features that carry kind of less weight. So 3 things to keep in mind when you're looking for a new intranet. All right, so I think that brings us to questions. So I have a couple here, and Colton, we can probably share these. First one is how long does it take to launch an intranet? Typically, I would say about 3 to 4 months. It really depends how much time you have to dedicate to the project, the resources you have available as well. We offer a variety of services in actually launching the intranet. The first is including the license fee, but we also have professional services who kind of go through a bit more of an in-depth process in actually kind of building and launching the intranet. Anything to add, Colton, for that?
No, I'd say that's right. Yeah, 3 to 4 months. A lot of it depends on how much content you have. Is it hundreds, is it thousands, what that looks like. So yeah.
Awesome. Second question here is, are you working with any AI tools to further improve intranet sites? Colton,
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's kind of 2 key things we're doing with AI. One is from a content creation standpoint. So we're making content creation really easy to do, which is really, really important when it comes to keeping an intranet fresh and with like really fresh content and constantly being updated. So we have some tools where you can actually create and enhance content right within the rich text editor. But the one I'm really, really excited about is our AI chatbot search. So what that's going to be doing is it's going to be able to, employees are able to search within their knowledge base and find sort of natural language questions. So rather than searching for a policy and here's this big long policy, it'll actually be able to serve up answers that are relevant and really, really quickly as well. So the AI content creation and AI enhanced functionality, that's actually available right now. But the AI knowledge chatbot search, that's going to be ready. I think it's active, in active development. They're going to be ready for early next year, potentially Q1, as far as rolling that out.
Okay, awesome. And then the second one is, we have so much information. So third question, we have so much information. How do I make sure my tellers can find the right information? I can take this. So I think the first one is kind of think about where your content lives. We have a few kind of best practices around testing that with your employees, because everyone kind of thinks differently. So you want to think about, okay, where would my specific employees go to find that sort of information? And then it's kind of surfacing that information in easy to find places. So things like the home pages where we can put quick links, and we can put quick links anywhere across the site as well. So that definitely helps. And then using search as well. So we can then use search analytics to see what keywords people are searching and making sure that it's kind of surfacing the right results. Maybe we need to tweak the keywords and the tags to help people find that. And then final question here, are most of your customers able to delegate permission management to areas outside of IT, essentially allowing IT to completely let go of intranet duties?
Big time. Yeah, that is our core competency. When we designed ThoughtFormer 18 years ago, intranets traditionally were owned by IT, right? And probably about 30 to 40% of the conversations that Warren and I have on a day-to-day basis is people saying, we have this old, crusty, outdated intranet. It's owned by IT. Any sort of content creation, it's got to be done by IT. It's got to be filtered. So the way we designed it is actually incredibly easy to use. So there's not a single line of code. It's very easy to create content, really nice drag and drop tools. So typically the intranet team, the core makeup is led by HR, marketing, comms, and then you might have like branch managers who own their certain sections, or other people like that. But IT actually takes a step back in the ownership of the intranet. And then it can easily be managed by their other teams as well.
Okay, awesome. So I think we're going to wrap up a little bit early, which is nice. So thank you so much for everyone for taking the time. We really appreciate it. We will follow up with the recording and a couple of other resources that will be helpful. If anyone has any questions after the webinar, feel free to reach out to the team. We're more than happy to talk intranets.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.